Hey, thanks for checking out Nuts and Bolts with Tone. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to talk about a 6-liter POWERSTROKE. You know I love them. Alright, so if you work on 6-liter POWERSTROKEs, you know, if you don't get into heavy engine work, you at least replace fan clutches. And on a 6-liter POWERSTROKE, if you look up the procedure for a fan clutch, a water pump, a cert belt tensioner, anything like that, step one is remove the radiator. All right, well, you don't really have to do that. You do have to drain the coolant some, but you don't have to remove the radiator. In this video, I'm going to walk you through how you can access and remove the fan clutch or the water pump, the serpentine belt tensioner without removing the radiator. It will save you some time, and it will also save you some coolant. You don't really have to have all the coolant, you know, to do it. I always drain the coolant because I sell, 3 gallons of coolant with the job. And so I drain it. It's just easier because then I could use my AIRLIFT. However, I don't have to mess with the radiator. It's a win-win for me. So in this video, I'll be replacing a water pump, but obviously I'm doing a water pump, fan clutch has to come off. So this procedure works for that as well. So let's get into it. Let me show you how to do this. Check it out. All right, here we go. 2006 POWERSTROKE 6-liter. All right, so we're going to be doing a water pump in this one, but this video is to let you know how to do a water pump and how to do a fan clutch easier than the way that they want you to do it. So step one on anything on the front of this engine is remove the radiator. You don't have to remove the radiator. I did not remove it. This is after. I'm already done. Basically, in this video, I will show you how you can remove just this part right here and then get the fan clutch out, the stator out, do the water pump. So I'll show you how you can separate these two halves of the fan shroud, and you put self-tapping screws right here and it holds the two together on both sides. So here's a close-up view of what it looks like right here. So you have a hole and a hole, and you can see right here how it's perforated to be cut. All right, so I'll show you how to cut that and how to remove it. All right, let's go. All right, here we go. Got this 06 F350 6-liter. Okay, so in this one here, I'm replacing the water pump, but I wanted to kind of show you a couple little tips about doing working on this engine that requires you not to remove the radiator. So to do a fan clutch, to do, a belt or a water pump or anything like that, you're supposed to remove the radiator as step one. All right, well, you don't really have to do that. And here's what I want to show you. So to do even just a fan clutch, you can do it this same way. So what you got to do is you got to take off the two radiator mounts right here. Okay, take those bolts out. Pop these clips right here so this can move, so you can get access to the battery cable harness. So you're going to pop these 3 harness clips up, and then you're going to pop it off of the radiator, off of the condenser supports right here on both sides, and then you can move this. And then what that does is, this is how the radiator normally sits, like this, and what that does is it allows the radiator to do this, to come back. And when it comes back, it allows you access to remove the fan shroud. So from start to finish, what you got to do is, well, I'm not going to put this back in right now. You don't need this back in. All right, so step one, if your vehicle has the alternator air deflector here, pop this off. All right, take that off. You're going to disconnect your upper radiator hose, and you're going to disconnect your hose right here from the degas bottle to the radiator, and you're just going to pull those back. All right, you're going to undo all this in the front like I showed you. The radiator is going to come back. Now you notice on each side of the fan shroud I cut. There's cut marks. All right, well, I'll show you why. It's designed to be able to be cut. So you see those little holes there, right? Well, those are so you can put screws back in. So in the vehicle, it looks like this, right? This sits down in front of the radiator. We're going to take out these two 8mm bolts here, okay? And you're going to cut these two sections here, all right? And it's perforated, like it's together here and a little bit here and a little bit here, but part of it is not connected at all. And you notice that there's holes here, right there, and right there. And the same thing on the other side, there and there. Well, that's so you can put self-tapping screws back in to put this back in. So once you've undone your radiator hose and you've pulled your radiator and everything, you can make those two cuts. And then you can slide this up and out, okay? Since I'm doing a water pump, if you were doing a fan clutch or something like that, you wouldn't have to take this out, okay? Well, since I'm doing a water pump, I gotta take this fan stator out and the fan clutch to get to the water pump. So I went ahead and pulled this out so I have access to get this out. So I'm gonna pop the fan clutch off and unbolt this and pull those out together. And then I'm gonna do the water pump. I'll show you what that looks like and I'll show you how to get it off. But this is how you get to this point. And now see, you have all this room here and you don't have to remove the radiator. Radiator is still in. Not that it's incredibly difficult to remove the radiator, but if you were doing a fan clutch, you definitely don't want to take the radiator out. So it's a little tricky to fish it in and out of here, but you can do it. I don't ever take the radiator out to do fan clutches, and I've done a lot of fan clutches in these PowerStrokes, in these 6 liters. They're super common to go out, super common to cause AC problems, cause the AC pressure to be high, all kinds of stuff, or just set codes for the electronics. So this is here, so this is how you do this here. And I'm going to go ahead and get this fan clutch off and get this stator out, and then I'll show you what it looks like. Don't forget to disconnect your fan clutch connector right there. Just kind of, I like to just tuck it out of the way so it doesn't get stuck. And in this one here, the upper radiator hose, somebody has removed the clip clamp and put a worm drive clamp, and that clamp has failed, so I got to replace that clamp and the water pump, and then pinion seal actually. So anyways, that's how you get to this point. Let me get it apart more and I'll show you what it looks like. All right, here we go. Water pump is off. One of the things that you want to look for on these is you want to look inside there and look at the front cover surface behind the water pump and make sure that there's no holes or that it's not eating through the cover. These are common to have cavitation, and it runs and basically eats through the front cover, and then the coolant will go into the oil and then you'll have lots of problems. So anyways, always make sure you do a really good visual inspection when you pull this water pump off, just to make sure that you don't have anything starting, because that would suck to put your water pump on and then have a front cover failure. All right, this is off right here. You got 4 bolts that bolt the water pump on, and then there's an O-ring that sits in this little groove here. So you clean out the groove, put the water pump, put the O-ring, put the water pump in, and put your belt back on, or put your pulley on. All right, let me get this cleaned up. For cleaning, I like to use Scotch-Brite pads. I cut them into little squares or rectangles and spray them with brake clean, and get it all nice and clean. Look at that, it looks brand new. All right, and then the other little tip is for putting the O-ring in, what I like to use is I like to use this right here, this Napa Silglide. I've been using this for years. You can use dielectric grease, you can use all kinds of stuff. This is just what I've been using, and I keep it always, and I use it for everything. So anyways, put this on your O-ring, or actually what works really well is if you put a little bit in the channel and go around like that and put it in a few dabs, it'll help hold it in place. In this one, the O-ring's not gonna go anywhere, but in some vehicles, the O-ring wants to fall out, and then you can pinch your O-ring. So let me get this in here and let's get the water pump on. Actually, on this one, it's you put it on the water pump itself. It doesn't wanna stretch out to that ring in the hole. I totally forgot. So anyways, put it on here, and then I'm gonna lube it up and stick it in the hole and get this thing back together. Here we go, water pump is in. It's all torqued down. I think it's 17 foot-pounds. I usually will torque them just to just to make sure that I don't have a leak. It's a lot of work to have to go in there and do it again. So anyways, another little tip I like to do is I like to clean out the water pump pulley. Just take a wire wheel and wire it all off. That way it doesn't look like there's a coolant leak. That's usually how you can tell if your water pump is leaking. It'll look like this, and the edge of your pulley will look like that. So I usually clean it up, and yeah, let's get this cleaned up. Okay, there we go. Got all the white out of there. The middle, I don't really care. It's mostly the edge, so it doesn't look like there's coolant in there. And then I always just hit up the edge. One of the things that works real well is I bought this a long time ago. Just a US General little straight die grinder. And I got these little sanding discs from Harbor Freight, I think. Like several in a pack. And I keep it in here. It works. You don't use it that often. It works real good for getting silicone out of grooves of oil pans. You just make sure you wear safety glasses, because this thing will throw those little metal things out and you'll get them in your eye. The other thing, since it's Harbor Freight, is if you oil this thing every time you use it, you're not going to use it a lot. It should last you for a long time, provided you oil it. You know, it's not the best quality, but you don't use it that often. So there you go, Harbor Freight. All right, here we go. Belt's back on, pulley's back on. Time to put the fan stator in. So the fan stator, make sure when you're taking it out that these right here don't come loose. Both of mine came loose, and both of the bottom eyelets on the stator broke. So that's like a 23 millimeter. I used the OLSA Tools adjustable wrench to hold it from underneath while I loosened the bolt to get the fan stator out. So it's a 15 millimeter on 4 places. There's one there, one there, and then right there, and right there. All right, you take the fan clutch out with the stator together, and put the stator in, and lean the fan clutch up against, lean the fan up against the radiator. Get your stator bolted in. Put your fan clutch on. All right, let's put it back together.